of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't
What do
paint.
you say to your other nickname, the Merchant of Death?
That's not bad.
That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it.
To peace.
I don't want to see this on your MySpace page. Please, no gang signs.
I should be dead already. For a reason. What I have to do. Talk.
Hello guys, today I am going to review Iron Man. This movie is the first movie of the Marvel Universe and it starts the journey of one of the most popular superheroes ever. The story follows Tony Stark, who is a very rich businessman and a genius inventor. He owns a big weapons company called Stark Industries. Tony loves his luxury life and does not think much about the damage caused by his weapons. One day, Tony Stark travels to another country to show a new missile called Jericho. Everything looks perfect, but suddenly his convoy is attacked by ter- terrorists. During the attack, Tony is badly injured and loses consciousness. When he wakes up, he finds himself trapped inside a cave. There he meets Jensen, a kind doctor who saves his life. Tony soon realizes that the terrorists want him to build powerful weapons for them. This moment completely changes his thinking. The beginning of the movie is very interesting and engaging. It quietly shows us who Tony Stark is and why his character needs to change. Robert Downey as Tony Stark gives a amazing performance and makes the character fun, smart, and memorable. Now trapped inside the cave, Tony Stark understands that his situation is very dangerous. The terrorists keep giving him orders and want him to create a deadly missile for them. But Tony has no plan to help these people. Instead, he secretly starts working on something completely different. With the help of Jensen, Tony collects small machine parts and piece of metal from the cave. The terrorists think he is building a weapon for them, but Tony is actually creating a powerful armor suit. This suit is large, heavy, and filled with technology. It is not perfect, but maybe is only chance to escape. During the time, the friendship between Tony Stark and Jensen becomes one of the best parts of the movie. Jensen teaches Tony an important lesson about life. Before this, Tony only cared about money, success, and business. But after seeing the suffering of innocent people, he slowly starts becoming a better person. The movie does a great job showing Tony's character development. He is not a perfect hero, he makes mistakes, acts selfish sometimes, and often thinks only about himself, but that is exactly what makes him interesting. We can clearly see him changing little by little. After many days of hard work, Tony finally completes the first Iron Man suit. The design looks rough and simple compared to later suits, but it feels realistic and powerful. When the terrorist discover his plan, the tension becomes very high. Every second feels important because Tony is running out of the time. Then comes one of the most exciting scenes in the movie. Tony Stark wears the suit for the first time and fights his way out of the cave. The action sequences are thrilling and full of energy. Instead of looking like a unbeatable superhero, Tony looks like a man trying to survive against impossible odds. The escape scene is also important because it marks the birth of Iron Man. This is at this moment Tony Stark is no longer just a rich businessman. He begins the journey of becoming a true hero. The movie makes this transformation feel natural and believable, which is one of its biggest strength. After finally escaping, Tony returns home, but he is no longer the same person who lived at the beginning of the movie. His experience have changed him forever, and now he must decide what kind of man he wants to become. After returning home, Tony Stark shocks everyone with a surprising announcement. He declares that Stark Industries will stop making weapons. This decision creates a hug reaction because the company has earned billions of dollars from military contract. Many people cannot believe that Tony, who spent his whole life building weapons, suddenly wants to end this that business. One person who is especially unhappy is Obadiah Stane. He has been a trusted partner of Tony's father for many years and he one of the most powerful people in the company. On the outside, Obadiah's Stane acts supportive and friendly, but deep inside he is worried about the future of the business. Meanwhile, Pepper Potts, Tony's loyal assistant, notice that Tony is behaving differently. Throughout the movie, Pepper is always there to help him. This their relationship is one of the most enjoyable parts of the story because it feels natural and genuine. Pepper cares about Tony, but she is also not afraid to tell him when he is wrong. Tony Stark then begins working on a completely new Iron Man suit since he he now has access to his laboratory. He can create something far more advanced than the rough armor he built inside the cave. Watching Tony build the suit is one of the most entertaining parts of the movie. These scenes are filled with creativity, humor, and technology. Tony tests different parts of the suit, and many of his experiments fail in funny ways. Sometimes he crashes into walls, sometimes things explodes, and sometimes his inventions simply do not work as planned. These moments make the character feel human and relatable. Another important character is James Rhodes, often called Roddy. He is one of the Tony's closest friends and works with the military. Roddy respects Tony, but he is also concerned about some of Tony's risky decisions. Their friendship adds more depth to the story and show that Tony still has people who genuinely care about him. As Tony continues improving the suit, he discovers a terrible truth. Weapons made by Stark Industries are still being sold to dangerous groups around the world. This realization makes him feel responsible for the damage being caused. Instead of ignoring the problem, Tony decides to take action himself. Soon he puts one of puts on the finished Iron Man suit and flies to a village that is being attacked by terrorists. This sequence is one of the most satisfying moments in the movie. For the first time, Tony Stark uses his intelligence and technology not to create weapons for profit but to profit innocent people. The visual effects in these scenes still look impressive even today. The flying scene feels smooth, the action feels exciting, and the suit itself looks incredible. Every moment of Iron Man feels more powerful and realistic. At this point in the movie, Tony Stark has changed dramatically from the person we saw at the beginning. Early, he was focused on success and wealth. Now he is trying to fix the mistakes of his past and become someone better. This character journey is the heart of Iron Man, and one of the main reasons why audience connected too strongly with the movie. As Tony Stark continues his mission to stop the misuse of his company's weapons, the story starts becoming even more intense. He believes that destroying illegal weapons is enough, but soon he learns that the problem is much bigger than he imagined. Back at Stark Industries, Obadiah Stane secretly being making his own plans. For years he has helped run the company and has enjoyed the power that comes with it. Unlike Tony Stark, Obadiah Stane is interested mainly in business and profit. He does not care about the consequence of selling weapons if it helps him earn more money and influence. The movie slowly reveals information and stand, and the audience start realizing that he may not be trust, trustworthy friend he pretend to be. Jeff Bridges, who plays Stan, delivers a strong performance. He makes the character calm and friendly on the surface, but dangerous underneath. Meanwhile, Tony Stark becomes more dedicated to being Iron Man. He spends countless hours improving his armor. Every small detail matters to him. He upgrades the weapon system, improve the fight flight controls, and make the shoot strong and faster. One of the most enjoyable things about Iron Man 2008 is how it shows the process of invention. Instead of magically creating perfect technology, Tony has to test everything himself. Sometimes his experiments succeed and sometimes they fail badly. These scenes make the movie feel realistic and entertaining at the same time. Pepper Potts also gets a bigger role in the story. Tony Stark trusts her more than almost anyone else. When he starts suspecting that something suspicious is happening inside Stark Industries, he asks Pepper for help. Pepper Potts being investigating company records and discovers shocking evidence. He finds information that connects Stan to criminal activities and illegal weapons deals. This discovery changes everything because it proves that the real enemy may be much closer than Tony expected. The tension keeps growing with every scene. Tony Stark is trying to become a hero, but at the same time, powerful people are working against him. The movie balances action, mystery, and character development very well. It never feels rushed, and every scene helps movie move the story forward. Another thing that makes Iron Man 2008 special is its humor. Even during serious situation, Tony Stark continues making funny comments and jokes. His confidence and quick response make him different from many other superheroes. He is not silent and serious all the time. Instead, he feels like a real person with flaws, emotions, and personality. As the movie moves forward its climax, danger starts surrounding Tony Stark from every direction. Stane becomes more aggressive. Pepper Potts risks her safety while searching for the truth, and Tony realizes that everything he built could be destroyed. The audience can feel that a major confrontation is coming. The conflict is no longer just about stopping terrorists. It has become a personal battle between Tony Stark and Stan. Both men represent completely different ideas. Tony wants to use technology to help people, while Stan wants to use it for power and money. By this stage, the movie has successfully transformed Tony Stark from a selfish businessman into a hero that audience genuinely care about. His journey feels believable, emotional, and inspiring. And with the final battle getting closer, the excitement level becomes higher than even before. Now the movie enters its most exciting phase. After discovering the truth about Stane, Tony Stark realizes that the danger is much closer than he thought. The man he trusted for years is actually working against him. This betrayal hits Tony hard because Stane was almost like family to him. As the story moves forward, Stan decides that Tony Stark has become a threat to his plans. He knows that as long as Tony is alive, his secrets can be exposed. Because of this, Stan takes extreme measures to remove him from the picture. One night, Tony Stark is suddenly attacked in his own home. Stan uses a special device that temporarily paralyzes Tony, making him unable to move. It is a shocking scene because for the first time Tony looks completely helpless. Stan then steals the powerful arc reactor from Tony's chest. This reactor is very thing keeping Tony alive. Without it, his life is in serious danger. The scene is intense because the audience understand that Tony Stark is only moments away from death. Fortunately, Pepper Potts finds Tony and helps him survive using an older arc reactor that Tony has had saved as a memory. He managed to stay alive. This moment show important Pepper Potts is to the story. She is not just a assistant, she is one of the reason Tony is able to keeping fighting. Meanwhile, Stan takes the technology he stole and builds a giant armored suit called the Iron Monger. This machine is much larger than Iron Man's armor, and it designed properly properly for destruction. Unlike Tony Stark, who uses technology to protect people. Stane uses it for power. When Tony Stark learns about the Monger, he knows he must stop it no matter what happens. Even though he is weak and injured, he puts on the Iron Man suit once again. This moment perfectly showed how much the character has changed since the beginning of the movie. Early in the story, Tony mostly cared about himself. Now he is willing to risk everything to protect others. That change is what makes his journey so satisfying. The movie never tells the audience that Tony is a hero. Instead, it shows his action, and those actions prove it. Soon, the final battle begins. Iron Man and Monger clash in an action-packed sequence filled with explosions, flying attacks, and powerful punches. The fight feels exciting because both characters use advanced technology, but they use it for completely different purpose. The visual effects during the battle is impressive. Every moment of the suit feels heavy and realistic. The sound design is also excellent. When the metal suit collide, the impact feels powerful and believable. At the same time, paper pots plays an important role in stopping a stand instead of standing on the sidelines. She actively helps during climax. This gives a character more importance and makes the story stronger. As the battle reaches its highest point, Tony Stark must use both his intelligence and courage to defeat his enemy. The fight is not just about physical strength, it is also about proving which vision of technology will win. Will technology be used to help people, or will it used for greed and distraction? The final confrontation answers the question in a thrilling way and bring the story toward a satisfying conclusion. By the end of this battle, Tony Stark is fully accepted his responsibility and has become the hero he was meant to be. After the massive battle, Iron Man and Ironmonger, the movie starts moving forward. Its conclusion, the fight leaves behind a lot of distraction, but it also proves something very important. Tony Stark is no longer the same man we meet at the beginning of the film. At the start, at the start of the movie, Tony Stark was famous for his intelligence, wealth, and confidence. He enjoyed being the center of attraction and rarely thought about the consequence of his action. However, the events of the movie completely changed his perspective. The cave experience, his friendship with Yinsen, the suffering caused by illegal weapons, and the betrayal of Stade, all taught Tony Stark valuable lesson. These experiences transformed him from a careless businessman into a responsible hero. One thing that makes Iron Man 2008 special is how naturally this transformation happens. The movie never rushes Tony's journey, instead, it allows the audience to see every step of his growth. Because of this, viewers can understand why Tony Stark changes and can connect with him emotionally. Another major strength of the movie is Robert Downey performance. It is difficult to imagine anyone else playing Tony Stark. He brings charm, humor, confidence, and emotion to the role. Every, Even when Tony makes mistakes, The audience continued supporting him because Robert Downey Jr. makes the character feel human. Pepper Potts also delivers a strong performance. Her chemistry with Tony Stark feels genuine and their interactions are enjoyable throughout the movie. Pepper Potts provides emotional support while also helping move the story forward. Stane creates a memorable villain. He is not simply evil for no reason. His greed and hunger or power slowly push him down a dangerous path. Because of this, he feels believable rather than cartoonish. The action sequences are another highlight of the movie, whether it is the escape from the cave, the first fight test, the village rescue, or the final battle. Every action scene feels exciting and meaningful. The action is not included just for entertainment, it helps tell Tony Stark's story. The visual effects were impressive when the movie was released and still hold up remarkable well today. The Iron Man suit looks realistic, detailed, and powerful. Every fight sequence gives the audience a sheen of speed and freedom. The soundtrack also deserves praise. The music adds energy and excitement to important moments. Whenever Iron Man appears on screen, the music helps makes those scenes feel even more heroic. Another reason why Iron Man 2008 became such a huge success is its balance. The movie successful combines action, humor, emotion, and character development. Many superhero movies focus heavily on action, but Iron Man spends time build its character and relationship as well. As the movie reaches its final moments, Tony Stark faces an important decision. The government and the media want an explanation for the mysterious armored hero seen during recent events. Tony is advised to hide the truth and follow a carefully prepared story. This leads to one of the most iconic scenes in superhero movie history. During a press conference, Tony Stark stands before reporters and begins reading the statement that was prepared for him. For a moment, it seemed like he will keep his identity secret just like most superheroes. But when Tony does something completely unexpected, instead of flying, he looks directly at the audience and confidently say, "I am Iron Man." This simple line became legendary. It shocked audiences around the world and perfectly matched Tony Stark's personality. Rather than hiding behind a mask, he openly accepts who he is. That final moment ends the movie on a powerful note and leaves viewer excited for what comes next. It is the perfect ending for a film that successfully introduced one of the greatest superhero in modern cinema. Now that the story is complete, let's talk about why Iron Man 2008 becomes such a important movie in cinema history. Iron Man superhero movies were already popular, but nobody knew that this film would start something much bigger. At that time, Marvel was taking a huge risk by making Iron Man. Many casual viewers did not know much about Tony Stark, and some people even doubted whether the movie would be successful. But after it released, Iron Man 2008 completely exceeded expectations. Audiences loved the movie, criticized, praised it, and it became a major box office success. More importantly, it laid the foundation for what would later become the Marvel Cinematic Universe, often called the MCU. One of the biggest reason of this success was Tony Stark. Unlike many traditional superheroes, Tony does not have magical powers. He cannot fly naturally. He is not from another planet. He was not born with special abilities. Everything he achieved comes from his intelligence, creative, and determination. This makes Tony Stark feel unique. He is a hero because of his choices, not because of special powers. The movie constantly reminds us that the person inside the suit is more important than the suit itself. Another thing that audience loved was the humor. Tony Stark is funny, confident, and sometimes arrogant, but he is also entertaining. His jokes never feel forced. Instead, they become a natural part of his personality. Even today, many fans consider Robert Downey portrayal of Tony Stark one of the greatest superhero performances ever. He completely owns the role. Every scene feels natural, and it is easy to believe that Tony Stark is a real person. The movie also deserves credit for its world building. It introduced Stark Industries, Pepper Potts, James Rhodes, and many other important elements that would become significant in future Marvel movies. What makes this even more impressive is that Iron Man 2008 works perfectly as a stand-alone movie. You do not need to watch anything before it. The story is complete on its own with a clear beginning, middle, and ending. The direction by Jon Favreau is excellent. He understands exactly how to balance action, humor, and emotion. Because of this balance, the movie never becomes boring. Even during slower scene, the audience remains interested in the character and their journey. The pacing is another strong point. The movie tracks its time, introducing Tony Stark, showing his transformation and building toward the final battle. Nothing feels unnecessary, and almost every scene has a purpose. The Iron Man suit itself deserves special praise. Even after many years, the design still looks incredible when Tony Stark first wears the red and gold armor. It feels like a reminder for everything the audience has experienced so far. Another memorable aspect of the movie is its message. Iron Man 2008 is not just about a man wearing a suit, it is about responsibility, redemption, and personal growth. Tony Stark realized that his past actions hurt people, and instead of ignoring the problem, he chooses to fix it. That message gives the movie emotional weight. The audience is not just watching explosions and action scenes, they are watching a man become a better version of himself. Overall, Iron Man 2008 is a outstanding superhero movie with great action, strong character, impressive visual effects, and a unforgettable performance from Robert Downey Jr. It is a movie that started a entire cinematic universe and introduced the world to Tony Stark, a character who would go on to become one of the most beloved heroes in the movie history. For many fans, Iron Man 2008 is not just a superhero movie, it is a beginning of an incredible journey that changed modern cinema forever. Now let's talk about some other parts of Iron Man 2008 that make the movie special. One of the first things that stands out is the cinematography. The movie looks beautiful from start to finish, whether it is the desert scene, Tony Stark workshop, or the flying sequence. Every location feels detailed and realistic. The camera work helps the audience feel close to the action and makes the world of Iron Man feel alive. Tony Stark workshop is one of the closest location in the entire movie. Watching him build and improve the Iron Man suit is incredible satisfying. The workshop is filled with advanced technology, robotic arms, computer screen, and different invention. These scenes are interesting because they show Tony's intelligence rather than just focusing on action. Another amazing element is JARVIS. Jarvik is Tony Stark's artificial intelligent assistant. Even though Jarvis is not physically present, the character becomes an important part of the movie. The conversation between Tony and Jarvis create many funny and memorable moments. The fight scenes are especially impressive when Tony Stark tests the suit from the first time. The audience gets to experience both excitement and danger. Tony crashes, loses control, and makes mistakes. These failures actually make the scene more entertaining because they feel realistic. The music of Iron Man 2008 also deserves a lot of praise. The soundtrack perfectly matches the personality of Tony Stark. The movie uses energetic rock music, what makes this scene feel color and more exciting. Whenever Iron Man appears on screen, the music helps increase the heroic atmosphere. The sound effects are equally impressive. Even time the Iron Man suit moves, files, or fires a weapon, the sound design makes the armor feel powerful. The metallic sound help convey the audience that the suit is real machine rather than just a visual effect. One thing that many people appreciate about Iron Man 2008 is that it respects the audience's intelligence. The movie explains enough about Tony's technology to make it believable, but it never spends too much time on complicated science explanations. This balance helps keep the story moving while still making the technology feel convincing. The movie also benefits from strong supporting characters. Pepper Potts is more than just a child character. She plays a major role in helping Tony Stark throughout the story. James Rhodes provides friendship and support, while Obadiah Stane serves as a believable villain. Another reason the movie remains popular is its rewatch value. Many movies become less interesting after the first viewing, but Iron Man 2008 remains enjoyable even after multiple viewing. The humor, action, and character moments continue to entertain audience after year. Looking back today, it is amazing to see how much started with this one movie. At the time, nobody knew that Tony Stark would become the face of an entire franchise. Nobody knew that Iron Man would inspire so many future movies. Yet this film successfully created the foundation for everything that followed. Perhaps the greatest achievement of Iron Man 2008 is that it makes the audience care deeply about Tony Stark. By the end of the movie, viewers are not exist simply because they show cool armor and action scene. They are excited because they witnessed the journey of a flawed man who chose to become better. That emotional connection is what separates Iron Man 2008 from many other superhero movies. The shoot is impressive, the action is exciting, and the visual effects are great, but the heart of the movie is Tony Stark himself, and that is why, even after many years, Iron Man 2008 remains one of the most important and beloved superhero films ever made. It is a movie that combines action, humor, emotion, technology, and character development into one unforgettable experience. Now, let's talk about some interesting facts and hidden details about Iron Man 2008 that make the movie even more fascinating. One of the most surprising facts is that Robert Downey Jr. was not the obvious choice for Tony Stark. At that time, many people in Bollywood were unsure whether he should get such a big role. However, director Jon Favreau strongly believed that Robert Downey Jr. was perfect for the character. Looking back now, it is hard to imagine anyone else playing Tony Stark. His performance became one of the biggest casting success in the movie history. Another interesting fact is that many scenes in the movie were per- patently improvised. Improvised. This means that some dialogue was not completely written beforehand. Robert Downey Jr. often added his own ideas and reaction during filming. This helped make Tony Stark feel more natural and realistic. The workshop scene are a great example of this. Many conversations between Tony Stark and Pepper Potts feel supportness, which makes their relationship more believable. The Iron Man suit itself went through many different designs before the filmmaker decided on the film version. The creators wanted the armor to look powerful and futuristic, but they also wanted it to feel like a machine that could actually exist. Because of this, the design team spent countless hours perfecting every detail. One thing many viewers noticed is the evolution of the shoots throughout the movie. The first armor built in the cave looks rough and heavy. Then Tony Stark creates more advanced version as the story progresses. This visual progression reflects Tony's growth as both a inventor and a hero. Another detail that fans love is the relationship between Tony Stark and Jarvis. Even though Jarvis is just a artificial intelligence, the conversations between them add personality and humor to the movie. The cave scenes are also extremely important. Yinsen appears for only a limited amount of time, but his influence on Tony Stark is enormous. Without Yinsen, Tony Stark never have changed his life. In many ways, Yinsen is the person who inspired Tony to become Iron Man. The movie is filled with small details that become important later in the Marvel Universe. At first, these moments seem seem simple, but future movies give them greater significance. This is one reason why many fans enjoy revisiting Iron Man 2008 after watching later Marvel films. Another impressive achievement is how well the movie balances realism and fantasy. The technology is advanced, but it still feels grounded enough for audiences to believe in it. The movie never feels completely unrealistic, even when Tony Stark is flying through the sky in a metal suit. The pacing also deserves recognition. Every major event happens at the right time. The movie introduces Tony Stark, show his transformation, develops the supporting characters, builds the conflict, and delivers a satisfying climax without feeling rushed. Even the humor serves a purpose. Tony Stark jokes are entertaining, but they also reveal important parts of the personality. His armor becomes a defense mechanism, helping him deal with difficult situations. By the end of the movie, audience feel like they truly know Tony Stark. They have seen his strength, his weakness, his mistakes, and his growth. That strong character development is one of the biggest reason why Iron Man 2008 remains such a beloved hymn. More than a superhero movie, Iron Man 2008 is a story about change. It shows how a person can learn more mistakes, accept responsibility, and choose to become better. That message continues to connect with audience all around the world, which is why the movie remains a classic even today. If I had to describe Iron Man 2008 in one sentence, I would say that it is the perfect origin story for a superhero. The movie successfully introduced Tony Stark, show his transformation, and creates a hero that audience immediately cares about. What makes the movie special is that Tony Stark starts a very flawed person. Usually, heroes are already good people when their stories begin, but Tony is different. He is intelligent and successful, but he is also selfish, arrogant, and careless about the impact of his actions. Because of this, his journey feels more meaningful. As viewers, we watch Tony Stark slowly change after the event in the cave. He begins questioning his choice and starts thinking about the consequence of his work. The emotional journey is what gives the movie its heart. The movie also understands something very important. A great superhero movie is not just about the hero, it also needs strong supporting characters. Potts, James Rhodes, Jinsen, and even Obadiah Stane all contribute to Tony Stark's development in different ways. Pepper Potts represents loyalty and support. James James Rhodes represents friendship and responsibility. Yinsan represents wisdom and sacrifice. Stane represents greed and cooperation. Together, these characters help shape Tony Stark's journey. The action scene remains entertaining even years later. The cave escape, the fighting test, the village rescue, and the final battle all feel unique. Each action sequence serves a purpose in the story and helps Tony Stark grow as a character. The visual effects deserve hug credit considering that the movie was released in 2008. The effects still look surprisingly good today. The Iron Man armor feels heavy, powerful and realistic. Every fight scene gives the audience a sheen of speed and excitement. The dialogue is another major strength. Tony Stark is constantly delivering memorable lines, funny comments, and clever observations. These moments keep the movie entertaining even during quieter scenes. One of the biggest qualities of Iron Man 2008 is its confidence. The movie does not try to be overly serious and it does not try to be overly comic. Instead, it finds the perfect balance between humor, action, emotion, and drama. The movie's theme also surprisingly deep. It explores responsibility, redemption, personal growth, and the ethical use of technology. This idea gives the film more depth than a typical action movie. Perhaps the most important achievement of Iron Man 2008 is that it creates a hero who feels human. Tony Stark is not perfect. He makes mistakes, fails repeatedly, and sometimes struggles with difficult decisions. Those flaws make him relatable and believable. Even after watching countless superhero movies, Iron Man 2008 still feels fresh because it focuses so much on character development. The armor may attract attention, but the real reason audience stay invested is Tony Stark himself. The final press conference scene remains one of the greatest ending in superhero history. When Tony Stark proudly says, "I am Iron Man," it perfectly captures everything about the character. He is confident, honest, and completely different from traditional superheroes who hide their identities. Looking back, it is clear that Iron Man 2008 changed the movie industry. It launched a entire cinematic universe and introduced a character who would become one of the most iconic heroes are created. For me, Iron Man 2008 is not just a superhero movie, it is a great movie, period. It has memorable character, exciting action, a strong emotional moments, impressive visual effects, and a unforgettable performance from Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man 2008 is a movie that proves heroes are not born, sometimes they are built through mistakes, challenges, and the courage to change. And that is exactly why Tony Stark became one of the most loved characters in modern cinema. Even after many years, Iron Man 2008 continues to be one of the most rewatched superhero movies ever made. New fans still discover it and older fans continue returning to it because the movie has a timeless quality that never gets old. One reason of lasting popularity is the character of Tony Stark. Most superhero stories focus on heroes who are already good people before becoming superheroes. Tony Stark, however, starts his journey as someone who needs to change. This makes his character arc much more satisfying. When audience first meet Tony Stark, he is living a life of luxury. He has money, fame, intelligence, and success. From the outside, it seems like he has everything, but the movie slowly reveals that something is missing. Tony does not truly understand the impact. In fact, his weapons have owned innocent people. The cave experience became a turning point. Meeting Jensen changes the way Tony Stark see the world. Jensen teaches him that life is about more than business and profits. These lesson stays with Tony for the rest of the movie and influence many of his future decisions. Another reason the movie works so well is its realism. Of course, a flying metal suit is fictional, but the emotion and character real feel. Tony Stark reacts to situation like a normal human being. He gets scared, frustrated, excited, and emotional. These reactions help the audience connect with him. The movie also deserves praise for its practical effects. Many scenes used real props and physical shoot pieces instead of relying completely on computer generated imagery. This helps this armor look more realistic and give the movie a grounded feeling. Fans also appreciate the attention to detail. Every version of the Iron Man suit reflects Tony Stark's growth as an inventor. The mark I armor is rough and built for survival. Later suits become faster, stronger, and more advanced. Watching this evolution is one of the most enjoyable aspects of the movie. The relationship between Tony Stark and Pepper Potts is another highlight. Their conversation feels natural and believable instead of forcing a romance. The movie allows their relationship to develop gradually. This makes their connection strong and more authentic. James Rhodes also plays an important role. He often acts as the voice of reason when Tony Stark makes risky decisions. Their friendship provides stability and show that Tony is not completely alone. One of the most impressive achievements of Iron Man 2008 is how it balances multiple elements at the same time. It is a action movie, a character drama, a comedy, a science fiction story, and a superhero adventure. Combining all these genre successfully is not easy, but the movie manages it effortlessly. The film also introduced audience to the idea of a connected universe. While watching Iron Man 2008 for the first time, many people did not realize that it was only the beginning of something much larger. Today, looking back at the movie feels special because we know how important it became. Another reason fans continue loving the movie is its optimism. Despite all danger and conflict, the story ultimately believes that people can change for the better. Tony Stark makes many mistakes, but he chooses to learn from them instead of ignoring them. These makes remain powerful even today. Everyone makes mistake, but what matters is how people respond to those mistakes. Iron Man 2008 show the growth is possible when someone expects responsibility and works to become better. The movie legacy is enormous. It launched one of the most successful franchises in entertainment history and transformed Tony Stark into a global icon. Yet, despite all this success, the movie still works perfectly on its own. At, at its core, Iron Man 2008 is the story of a man discovering who he truly wants to be. It is about intelligence, courage, redemption, and responsibility. Those themes are universal, which is why audiences from all around the world continue to connect them. The connect with the film, and that why even after nearly two decades, Iron Man 2008 remains one of the greatest superhero origin movies ever made, and a film that continue inspiring new generations of fans. Now let's talk in detail about the biggest reason behind the success of Iron Man 2008. Tony Stark. Many superhero movies become popular because of action scene or special powers, but Iron Man 2008 becomes special because audience fell, fell in love with Tony Stark himself. He is not just a superhero wearing armor, he is a complex character with a strength and weakness. At the beginning of the movie, Tony Stark is extremely intelligent. He can create incredible technology and solve difficult problems. However, he is also arrogant. He believes that he is always right and rarely thinks about how his actions affect other people. The combination makes him interesting. He is not a perfect hero. In fact, at the start of movie, he is not really a hero at all. He enjoys attention, wealth, and fame more than responsibility. When Tony Stark is captured by terrorists, every changes for the first time in his life. He is forced to face the consequence of his invention. He sees innocent people suffering because of weapons made by Stark Industries. The realization becomes the most important moment in his life. Instead of blaming someone else, Tony Stark begins questioning himself. He starts asking whether he has been using his intelligence in the right way. Jensen plays a hug role in this transformation. Even though Jensen appears for a short time, his words have a lasting impact on Tony. He helps Tony understand that life is about more than success and money. After escaping from the cave, Tony Stark could have returned to his old lifestyle. He could have ignored everything that happened, but instead he chooses a more difficult path. He decides to change. That decision is what truly makes him a hero. Building the Iron Man suit is not just a technology achievement, it is a symbol of Tony Stark's personal growth. Every upgrade to the suit represents his journey toward becoming a better person. Another reason audience love Tony Stark is scene of humor. Even in danger situation, he continues making jokes and clever comments. These moments make him entertaining and prevent the movie becoming too serious. At the same time, Tony is not fearless. He experienced doubt, frustration, and failure. Many of his experiments go wrong. Many of his plans do not work perfectly. These failures make him relatable because viewer can see that success does not come easily. The relationship between Tony Stark and Pepper Potts also reveals a different side of the personality. Around Pepper, Tony often appears more honest and vulnerable. Their friendship shows that beneath his confident exterior, he genuinely cares about people. His friendship with James Rhodes is equally important. Rhodey often challenges Tony's decisions and reminds him about responsibility. This friendship helps keep Tony grounded. Perhaps the most inspiring thing about Tony Stark is that He earns his hero status. He is not born a hero. He becomes one through choices, sacrifice, and determination. By the end of Iron Man 2008, Tony Stark has completed an incredible journey. He starts a selfish billionaire and ends as a man willing to risk his life to protect other. That character development is heart of the movie. The humor is amazing, the action is exciting, the visual effects are impressive, but real reason Iron Man 2008 became a classic is Tony Stark. Without Tony Stark, there is no Iron Man, and without Iron Man, modern superhero cinema would look very different today. One of the biggest reason Iron Man 2008 become so successful is that it feels very difficult from many superheroes movies that came before it. Usually superhero movies stories focus on mainly on power, villains, and action scene, but Iron Man 2008 spent a lot of time developing Tony Stark as a person. The movie wants the audience to understand who he is before fully turning him into Iron Man. Because of this, viewer became emotionally invested in Tony Stark journey. When he succeeds, the audience feels happy. When he struggles, the audience feels concerned. This emotional connection makes the movie much stronger. Another thing that makes Iron Man 2008 unique is its grounded approach. The movie takes a fantastic idea, a man flying in a metal suit, and present it in a believable way. Tony Stark spends time dis- designing, testing, improving, and repairing his armor. The audience gets to see every step of the process. This makes the technology feel realistic rather than magical. We understand how much effort Tony Stark puts into creating the suit. The movie also avoids making Tony Stark perfect. Many roles seem almost unbeatable. Tony Stark fails constantly. He crashes during flight test, makes mistake, and faces problem he cannot solve immediately. This failure actually improves the story because they make his victories more satisfying. When Tony Stark finally succeeds, the audience know how hard he worked to get there. Humor is another major reason the movie stand out. Tony Stark has a quiet wit and often uses joke even during serious situation. This gives the movie a fun energy and helps balance the darker moment. The chemistry between Tony Stark and Pepper Potts is also excellent. Their conversations feel natural and entertaining instead of relying on dramatic spaces, and movie allows their relationship to grow through simple interactions. The villain Obadiah Stane is interesting because he is connected to Tony Stark's personal life. The conflict is not just about saving the world, it is about trust, betrayal, and responsibility. The personal connection make the final battle more meaningful. The audience is not just watching two armored suits fight, they are watching the conclusion of a relationship that has completely broken apart. The movie pacing deserves praise as well. It know when to slow down and focus on characters, and it knows when to deliver exciting action. Because of this balance, the film remains engaging from beginning to end. Even the smaller moments are memorable. Watching Tony Stark work in his workshop, talk with Jarvis, or int- interact with Pepper Potts can be just as entertaining as the action scene. That is a sign of strong filmmaking. A great movie should keep the audience interested even when explosions are not happening on screen. Another important reason for the movie's success is its confidence. Iron Man 2008 never tries too hard to impress viewers. It is simply tells a strong story with entertaining character and trusts the audience to enjoy the journey. Looking back today, it is easy to see why the film became such a cultural phenomenon. It introduced a unforgettable hero, delivered exciting action, and created a world that audience wanted to explore further. Most importantly, Iron Man 2008 reminds us that true heroism is not about having powers, it is about taking responsibility for your actions. It is about learning from mistakes. It is about choosing to do the right things even when it's difficult. And that reason is one of the main reasons why Tony Stark remains one of the most loved characters in movie history. Now let's talk about one of the most iconic parts of the movie, the Iron Man suit. When people think about Iron Man, the first thing that usually comes to mind is the red and gold armor. But the reason the suit becomes so popular is not just because it looks cool. The suit is actually a important part of Tony Stark's character journey. The first suit, known as the Mark I, is built by Tony Stark inside a cave with very limited resources. It is large, heavy, rough, and not very advanced. However, this suit represents hope. It is the machine that helps Tony escape and gives him a second chance at life. The Mark First armor looks more like a survival tool than a superhero costume. That is why many fans still love it today. It reminds us when Tony Stark starts his journey. After returning home, Tony Stark begins creating a better version of the suit. This is where some of the most entertaining scene in the movie take place. Watching Tony experiment with new technology feels almost like watching a scientist working on an important invention. The Mark II suit is the first major upgrade. It looks clear, faster, and more advanced than the original armor. Whenever it is still a prototype, meaning it is an early version that needs improvement. One of the funniest scenes in the movie happens during the fight scene test. Tony Stark tries flying the suit, but things do not go as planned. He crashes multiple times and learns through trials and error. These moments are important because they show that success requires patience and persistence. Tony does not become Iron Man overnight. He learns that it through hard work and determination. Eventually, Tony Stark creates the Mark III, the famous red and gold armor that most fans recognize instantly. The design is sleek, powerful, and visually stunning. Even today, the Mark III is considered one of the best superhero suit designs ever created. It perfectly balances style, functionality, and realism. Another reason fans love the Iron Man suit is because it feels achievable. Unlike magical weapons or supernatural powers, the suit is based on science and engineering, while the technology is far beyond current reality. It still feels like something that could exist in the future. The arc reactor is another fascinating part of the shoot. It serves as both a powerful source and a symbol of Tony Stark's transformation. At first, it's necessary to keep him alive. Later, it becomes the heart of Iron Man. The weapons systems, flight capabilities, and advanced computer assistance from JARVIS make the suit feel incredibly advanced. Yet the movie explains these features in a simple way, allowing audience to understand them without feeling confused. Another interesting detail is that the suit reflects Tony Stark's personality. It is a smart, innovative, flashy, and always improving, just like Tony himself. Throughout the movie, the armor evolves as so does Tony Stark. The development of the character as Tony becomes a better person. His technology become a tool for helping others rather than harming them. That is why the Iron Man suit more than just armor. It represents creative, it represents innovation, it represents second chance, and most importantly, it represents journey of Tony Stark from a selfish inventor for a true hero. That is why even after so many years, the Iron Man suit remains one of the most famous and beloved design in movie history. Iron Man 2008 is filled with many memorable scenes that fans still talk about today. These scenes are not just exciting, but they also help develop Tony Stark's character and make the story more powerful. One of the best scenes in the movie is Tony Stark's capture in desert. At first, everything seems normal. Tony is confident, relaxed, and enjoying his success. This suddenly the attack happens. This moment changes the entire direction of the movie. The scene is important because it destroys Tony Stark's uncomfortable life and forces him to face reality. For the first time, he experiences the consequence of the weapons his company creates. Another unforgettable scene is the construction of the Mark First shoot. Watching Tony Stark and Yinzan secretly build the armor inside the cave is incredibly exciting. The audience know that failure means death, which creates constant tension. The escape from the cave is also one of the movie's greatest moments when Tony Stark finally wears the Mark First armor and walks through enemy soldiers. It feels powerful and satisfying. This is the moment when Iron Man is truly born. Another fan favorite scene is Tony Stark first fight test. Instead of becoming a expert immediately, Tony struggles and crashes multiple times. These scenes are funny, entertaining, and realistic. Many superhero movies show heroes mastering their abilities instantly. Iron Man 2008 takes a different approach by showing mistakes and failures. This makes Tony Stark feel much more human. The village rescue sequence is another highlight. When Tony Stark discovers innocent people being attacked, he decides to intervene. This is one of the first times we see him full embracing his responsibility as a hero. The scene is exciting because it shows how much Tony has changed. Earlier in the movie, he was focused mainly on himself. Now he is risking his life to protect a stranger. The scene between Tony Stark and Pepper Potts are also memorable. Their conversations are often funny, heartfelt, and natural. These quieter moments help balance the action and give the audience a chance to connect with the character. Many fans also loved the workshop scene featuring Tony Stark and Jarvis. Watching Tony experiment with new technology, test equipment, and solve problem is surprisingly entertaining. The movie proves that interesting character can make even simple scene enjoyable. Of course, the final battle between Iron Man and Monger deserves a special re- recognition. The fight is exciting because it combines action, emotion, and story development. The battle is not just about defeating a villain, it is the final test of everything Tony Stark has learned throughout the movie. But perhaps the most famous scene of the awful comes at the very end. During the press conference, Tony Stark is expected to hide the truth about Iron Man. Everyone assumes he will protect his secret identity. Instead, Tony surprises everyone. He looks directly at the report and confidently says, I am Iron Man. This moment instantly became legendary. The audience was shocked, the reporters was shocked, and the entire superhero generation was changed forever. It was the perfect ending because it captured everything that makes Tony Stark unique. He does not hide who he is. He accepts is proudly. That final lines remains one of the most iconic moments in the movie history and is one of the main reason Iron Man 2008 is still remembered as a classical today. Even though Iron Man 2008 was released many years ago, millions of people still watch it again and again. This is something very few movies can achieve. Most films becomes less popular over time, but Iron Man 2008 continues attracting new audience every year. The biggest reason is Tony Stark. He feels like a real person instead of a perfect superhero. He has flaws, makes mistakes, and sometimes chooses the wrong path. Because of this, audience can relate to him more easily. People enjoy watching characters who grow and improve. Tony Stark starts the movie as someone who thinks mostly about himself. By the end, he becomes someone willing to sacrifice everything for others. That transformation is extremely satisfying to watch. Another reason the movie remains popular is its balance. Some superhero movies focus only on action, other focus only on drama. Iron Man 2008 successfully combines action, humor, emotion, and character development. Because of this balance, the movie appeals to many different types of viewers. Action fans enjoy the battle, comedy fans enjoy Tony Stark jokes, and people who love driven stories enjoy Tony's personal journey. The movie also avoids feeling outdated. Many older films contain effects or storytelling techniques that no longer feel modern. However, Iron Man 2008 still looks impressive today. The visual effects remains strong. The action scene still feel exciting, and the Iron Man suit continues looking amazing on screen. Another major strength is the writing. The dialogue feels natural and entertaining. Tony Stark personality shine through every conversation. His confidence, intelligence, and humor make him one of the most entertaining characters in modern cinema. Pepper Potts also remains a important reason why the movie works so well. Our relationship with Tony Stark gives the story emotional depth. He supports him, challenges him, and helps him because of a better person. James Rhodes provide another important perspective. He often reminds Tony Stark about responsibility and consequence. Their friendship adds realism to the story. The movie menace is another reason it remains relevant. Iron Man 2008 teaches that intelligence and talent are important, but responsibility is even more important. Tony Stark realized that creating powerful technology is not enough. He must also think about how that technology affects people. This lesson remains meaningful today. The movie also celebrates innovation and creative. Watching Tony Stark solve problems, invent new machines, and improve his should inspire many viewers. It shows that knowledge and hard work can accomplish incredible things. One of the most impressive achievements of Iron Man 2008 is that it created a hero for a few generations. Before this movie, Tony Stark was not as famous as some other superheroes. After the movies release, he becomes one of the most recognizable character in the world. Today, when people think about superhero movies, Iron Man is often one of the first names that comes to mind. That success did not happen because of flashy action alone. It happened because audience connected with Tony Stark. They believed in his journey. They understood his struggles. They have celebrated his growth. That emotional connection is why Iron Man 2008 continues to be loved by fans around the world, and why it remains one of the greatest superhero origin movies ever made. When people talk about the greatest superhero origin movies ever made, Iron Man 2008 is almost always part of the conversation. The reason is simple. It does everything as origin story should do. A good origin movie must introduce the hero, explain why they become a hero, and make the audience care about them. Iron Man 2008 succeeded in all three areas. At the beginning of the film, Tony Stark is already successful. He has money, fame, intelligence, and influence. Normally, characters like this have no reason to change. However, the movie creates a situation that forces Tony Stark to look at his life differently. His capture by terrorists completely changes perspective. For the first time, he see the damage caused by weapons his company produced. This experience becomes the foundation of his entire journey. What makes the story powerful is that the change does not happen immediately. Tony Stark does not wake up one day and suddenly become a hero. Instead, it slowly changes through experience, reflection, and difficult choices. This gradual development makes the story feel realistic. The audience watches Tony Stark struggle with guilt, responsibility, and the consequence of his action. These challenges make his transformation feel earned rather than automatic. Another important part of a great origin story is showing the hero learns new skills. Iron Man 2008 does this perfectly. Tony Stark spends a portion of the movie designing, testing, and improving his armor. The audience see very success and every failure. When he crashes during fight tests, we laugh. When he improves the shoot, we celebrate. When he finally becomes Iron Man, it feels rewarding because he witnessed the entire process. Many superhero movies speak this stage and move quickly to the action. Iron Man 2008 takes its time and benefits greatly because of it. The movie also gives Tony Stark a strong supporting characters. Vincent teaches him important lessons about life. Pepper Potts provides support and honesty. James Rhodes offers friendship and responsibility. Obadiah Stane represents the darker path that Tony could have followed. Each character contributes something important to Tony Stark development. The villain is especially important in an original story because the villain often reflects the hero. Obadiah Stane and Tony Stark are both intelligent businessmen with access to advanced technology. The difference is how they chooses to use the technology. Tony wants to protect people. Stane wants to power. This contrast strengthens the story and gives the final battle more meaningful. Another reason Iron Man 2008 works so well is that it never forgets the human side of its hero. Tony Stark many wear a incredible suit, but he is still a person dealing with fear, doubt, and responsibility. The audience cares about Tony first and Iron Man second. This is exactly how a great origin story should work. By the time the movie reaches its final scene, the audience full understands who Tony Stark is, why he became Iron Man, and what he stands for. Then becomes the legendary moment. Standing in front of reports, Tony Stark is expected to hide his secret. Instead, he proudly says, "I am Iron Man." With that single statement, the movie completes one of the greatest superhero origin stories ever told. The journey is complete. Tony Stark has become Iron Man. When Iron Man 2000 hat was released, very few people realized how important the movie would become. At the time, it was simply another superhero film, but after audiences watched it, everything changed. Today, many people consider Iron Man 2008 one of the most influential superhero movies ever made because it started a completely new era in cinema. The success of the movie proved that audience wanted more than just action. They wanted strong characters, meaningful stories, and heroes who felt human. Tony Stark became the perfect example of this idea. Unlike many traditional superheroes, Tony Stark is not a symbol of perfection. He is a person who learns, grows, changes over time. This made him feel different from many heroes audience had seen before. The movie also shows that intelligence can be just a power as superpowers. Tony Stark does not win because he is the strongest person in the world. He wins because he is creative, determined, and willing to solve problems. This message inspired many viewers. It shows that knowledge, hard work, and innovation can be powerful tools. Another reason the movie became so important is that it respected its audience. The film trusted viewers to follow Tony Stark's journey without rushing through important moments. It spends time developing characters. It spent time building relationship. And it spent time showing how Tony became Iron Man. Because of this patience, the final result felt much more rewarding. One of the movie's greatest strength is its authenticity. The emotional feels real, the characters feel believable, and the relationship feels genuine. When Tony Stark struggles, the audience understand why. When he succeeds, the audience celebrate with him. This emotional connection is what separates good movies for great movies. The movie also introduced several elements that would later become extremely important: paper pots, jams, Rhodes, Jarvis, Stark Industries, and the Arc Reactor all became major parts of Tony Stark's story. Watching these elements for the first time feels special because audience know how important they will eventually become. The action scene deserve praise as well. Even years later, he can escape the fight test, and the final battle remains exciting. The filmmaker focused on quality rather than quantity. Every action scene serves a purpose. Every fight helps move the story forward. That is one reason the movie remains enjoyable after multiple viewings. The soundtrack is another underrated aspect of the film. The music perfectly matches Tony Stark's personality. It feels energetic, confident, and exciting. Whenever Iron Man appears on screen, the music helps create a scene of excitement and heroism. Perhaps the most impressive achievement of Iron Man 2008 is that it turns a character who was not universal famous into a global iconic. Before the movie, many casual moviegoers knew very little about Tony Stark. After the movie, millions of people around the world became fans. That transformation mirrors Tony Stark's own journey. Just as Tony transforms into Iron Man, the character himself transforms into one of the biggest names in entertainment. By the end of the film, audience are left feeling inspired. They have watched a man confront his mistake. They have watched him take responsibility. They have watched him become a hero, and that is why Iron Man 2008 remains so special. It is not just a movie about a man in armor, it is a movie about growth, it is a movie about redemption. It is a movie about choosing to become better than you were yesterday. Now we reach the final part of this complete Iron Man 2008 review journey, where we understand the deeper emotional remaining behind the movie. Iron Man 2008 it is not only about technology, suits, or action scene. At its core, it is a story about a human being changing his life completely. Tony Stark begins as someone who believes in his untouchable. He has money, power, and intelligence, and he thinks nothing can go wrong in his life. But the story proves him wrong in the most powerful way. His capture by terrorists is not just an action moment, it is a turning point that forces him to see reality for the first time. When Tony Stark is inside the cave, he is no longer a billionaire, he is just a human being trying to survive. This experience removes his ego and forces him to think differently. Yinsen becomes a very important part of the transformation. Every those this screen time is short. This impact is extremely powerful. He helps Tony understand that life has value beyond wealth and success. This lesson stays with Tony Stark forever. After escaping, Tony does not return to his old life. Instead, he begins a completely new journey. He starts using his intelligence to build something meaningful instead to destructive weapons. This is where the Iron suit becomes more than just armor. It becomes a symbol of responsibility, chance, and redemption. The movie also shows that becoming a hero is not easy. Tony Stark fails many times. He makes mistakes, he faces fear, he loses control, but he keeps trying again and again. The persistence is what makes him a true hero. Pepper Potts also play a key emotional role. She represents trust, care, and honesty. She is one of the few people who see Tony Stark for who he truly is, not just a businessman or superhero. James Rhodes adds another emotional layer. He shows that Tony still has real friendship and responsibility in his life outside the shoot. The villain Obadiah Stane represents the opposite path. He shows what Tony Stark could have become if he chose greed instead of responsibility. The contrast contrast makes the story even stronger. In the final battle, Iron Man is not just fighting another armored suit, he is fighting against the idea of corruption, selfishness, and misuse of power. When Tony Stark finally wins, it feels meaningful because it is not just a physical victory, it is a moral victory. Then comes the press conference in the moment that changed superhero movies forever. Tony Stark stands in front of the world. He is expected to lie. He is expected to hide, but instead he chooses honesty. I am Iron Man. This line is simple but in fact is massive. It shows confidence, trust, and acceptance. It shows that Tony Stark is no longer afraid of who he is. That normal completes his transformation from a selfish man to a responsible hero, from Tony Stark to Iron Man. The final message of Iron Man 2008 is powerful and universal. People can change. Mistakes do not define a person. What defines a person is what they choose to become after those mistakes. And that is why Iron Man 2008 is more than just a superhero movie. It is a story of transformation. It is a story of responsibility, and it is a story that continues to inspire people even today, reminding us that it is never too late to become a better. Iron Man 2008 is not only a superhero movie, it is a also life lesson in disguise. The story of Tony Stark teaches us many important things about mistake, change, and responsibility. At the start, Tony Stark thinks success means money, fame, and power. He believes that being smart and rich is enough to live a perfect life, but the movie slowly breaks the idea and shows him a different truth. When Tony Stark is captured, he realizes that his inventions are not just tools, they are slow, they are also weapons that can hurt innocent people. This realization and painful, but it is also to beginning of his chance. This moment is very important because it shows that understanding your mistake is the first step of becoming better. Vincent plays a silent but powerful role in the lesson. He does not give Tony Stark a long lecture. Instead, he shows him through action that life is valuable and should not be wasted. Because of insane, Tony Stark learns that intelligence is not just for creating powerful machines, it should also be used to protect people. This idea became the foundation of Iron Man. Another important message of the movie is that change is not easy. Tony Stark does not become a hero instantly. He struggles again and again. He fails in experiments. He crashes during fights. He makes wrong decisions, but he never stops trying. This shows that success is not about being perfect. It is about not giving up. Pepper Potts also represents emotional support in Tony Stark's journey. She is honest with him even when the true truth is uncomfortable. Her presence reminds Tony that she is not alone. James Rhodes represents balance. He shows Tony Stark that friendship and duty are also important in life. Obadiah Stane show that happens when ambition becomes greed. He chooses power over people, and that choice actually leads to his downfall. This contrast between Tony Stark and Stane is one of the strongest parts of the movie. It shows two different paths a person can take in life. One path leads to responsibility, the other leads to destruction. Tony Stark chooses the harder but better path. The reason the Iron Man suit itself became a symbol of this choice. It is not just armor, it is a reminder that power should always be used for good purpose. Even JARVIS, Tony Stark, AI system reflects its growth. It shows how advanced technology can become helpful when guided by the right intention. At the end of the movie, Tony Stark accepts a very important trust. He cannot change his past, but he can change his future. Is this expectance is what truly makes him Iron Man. The press conference moment is not just famous because of a cool line, it is powerful because it shows complete honesty. Tony Stark is no longer hiding behind lies or fear. He is standing as his true self. I am Iron Man. This is the moment where identity, courage, and truth come together. In the end, Iron Man 2008 teaches us that heroes are not born, they are made through pain, learning, and choices. Tony Stark becomes Iron Man not because of the suit, but because he chooses to become better. And that is real message of the movie. A person can always change their story, no matter how they start. They can always become something greater. Now let's go deeper into how Iron Man 2008 is made, especially its direction and scene structure, which make the movie feel so smooth and powerful. Director Jon Favreau builds the movie in a very smart way. He does not trust the story, instead, he slowly introduces Tony Stark, his lifestyle, his problems, and then brings the major conflict. This slow build up make the story more engaging. In the first part of the movie, everything feels light and fun. Tony Stark is joking, enjoying life, and acting like he is untouchable. But the director carefully places small hints that something serious is going to happen. When the attack scene happens in the desert, the tone of the movie suddenly changes. It becomes serious, dark, and emotional. This shift is very important because it show the real world consequence of Tony Stark actions. The chaos scene are some of the most powerful parts of the movie. The lighting, camera angles, and sound design all create a feeling of fear and tension. The audience feels trapped along with Tony Stark. Vincent becomes a symbol of hope in that dark environment. Even though he is weak and injured, he never lost courage. This inspired Tony Stark to change his thinking. The escape scene is directed in a very intense way. When Tony Stark puts on the Mark first armor, the camera slowly builds excitement. The moment he walks out the fights, the terrorist feels powerful because the audience has waited for this transformation for a long time. Another strong part of the direction is how the movie handles silence. In many emotional scenes, there is not loud music. Instead, the silence makes the moment more meaningful. For example, when Tony Stark realizes the damage caused by his weapons, the quiet atmosphere helps the audience feel the weight of that realization. The workshop scene also show great creative instead of making it boring. The director turns into something entertaining. Tony Stark testing suit, failing experiments, and interacting with Jarvis feels like a mix of silence and comedy. Pepper Potts' scenes are handled in a soft and emotional way. Her character is not loud or dramatic, but her presence adds stability to Tony Stark's chaotic life. One of the strongest directing choice is how the movie treats Tony Stark's transformation. The director does not tell us he is becoming a hero. Instead, he shows it through actions. When Tony Stark saves people in the village, we understand he is changing. When he decides to stop weapons produ- production, we understand he is changing. When he finally says, I am Iron Man, we understand he is fully changed. Another important part is pacing. The movie never feels too slow or too fast. Every scene has a purpose, even dialogue scene contribute to character development. The final battle between Iron Man and Iron Monger is also carefully designed. It is not just random action, it is structured like a final test of everything. Tony Stark as learned the destruction, explosions, and flying sequence are exciting, but the emotional meaning behind the fight is even more important. Tony Stark is fighting not just a villain but his own past mistakes. This direction ensures that the audience feels that emotional depth even during action heavy moments. Final, the press conference scene is short, very simple, but it becomes powerful because of Tony Stark decision. No big effects are needed, just a man, a microphone, and honesty. That simplicity is what makes the scene legendary. Overall, the direction of Iron Man 2008 is one of its biggest strengths. It balances action, emotion, humor, and storytelling in a way that feels natural and enjoyable. It proves that a superhero movie is not just about fighting villains, it is about telling a human story inside a superhero world, and that is actually why Iron Man still feels fresh, powerful, and uncomfortable even today. Now let's focus on one of the most underrated but powerful parts of Iron Man 2008, its music and emotional impact. The soundtrack of Iron Man 2008 plays a hug role in making the movie feel energetic and exciting. The music is not just background noise, it is deeply connected to Tony Stark's personality. Whenever Iron Man appears, the sound gives a feeling of confidence, power, and freedom. One of the most famous musical elements is the rock style theme. It perfectly matches Tony Stark's blood and fearless attitude. This makes even action scene feel more intense and stylish. But the movie does not rely only on energetic music, it emotional scene. The background score becomes soft and subtle. This change is this change in music helps the audience feel Tony Stark inner emotional, especially during moments of realization and reflection. For example, when Tony Stark learns about the damage caused by his weapons, the music becomes quieter. This silence and softness allow the audience to fully understand the seriousness of the situation. The emotional depth of Iron Man 2008 is what makes it more than just a action movie. It is a story about guilt, change, and redemption. Tony Stark does not just fight enemies outside; he also fights his own mistakes inside. Another powerful emotional element is Tony Stark's relationship with Pepper Potts. Their bond is built slowly and naturally. It is not forced. Instead, it grows through small moments of trust, humor, and honesty. Pepper Potts often acts as Tony emotion anchor. When Tony Stark becomes too chaotic or careless, she brings balance to his life. This makes her one of the most important characters in the movie. James Rhodes also adds emotional stability. He represents loyalty and friendship. His concern for Tony Stark show that Tony is not alone in his journey even when he feels isolated. As the movie moves toward its ending, all emotional come together. Action, tension, humor, and drama all combine into one final powerful experience. The final battle between Iron Man and Iron Monger is not just visually exciting, it is emotionally charged. Every punch, explosion, and moment feels meaningful, but the audience understand what is stake. Tony Stark is not just saving himself, he is protecting the future of how technology should be used. When the fight ends and Tony Stark survives, the audience feels relief, joy, and satisfaction. But the real emotional peak comes after that. The press conference, standing in front of the world, Tony Stark make a decision that changes everything. The chooses trust over secrecy. He chooses honesty or protection. He chooses identity over fear. I am Iron Man. This line is not just dialogue, it is a declaration of transformation. It shows that Tony Stark is fully accepting who he is and what he stands for. The emotional impact of this movement is what makes it unforgettable. It is simple, powerful, and perfectly timed. After this time, the audience is left a strong feeling. They have witnessed a full journey from selfish billionaire to responsible hero. Iron Man 2008 succeeds because it connects with viewers on multiple levels: action level, exciting battles; emotional level, deep character growth. In the end, Iron Man is not just a character in a suit, he is a symbol of change, a symbol of growth, a symbol of second chance. This is why Iron Man 2008 remains one of the most loved, respected, and unforgettable superhero movies ever created, a perfect mix of heart, intelligence, and cinematic brilliance. So, friends, this was my complete review of Iron Man 2008. This movie is not just about action or technology, it is about change, responsibility, and becoming a better person. Tony Stark teaches us that no matter whom we are, we can always improve ourselves and start a new journey in life. And at the end, I just want to say this movie will always remain one of the greatest superhero movie ever made. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked this movie, then please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more such content. See you in next video. Goodbye.